Hi, welcome back. It's Vernon again. Have you ever noticed that some older men just can't hide how they feel around certain women, especially older women they secretly adore? Their words might stay calm, but their body tells a completely different story. The truth is, men give away their deepest feelings without even realizing it. And when a man admires an older woman, his body language shouts the truth louder than his words. So today, I'm going to uncover 5 subtle body language clues that reveal exactly what a man feels even when he tries to keep it hidden. When a mature man encounters an older woman who touches something deep in his soul, his body responds in ways that bypass conscious control. Before we dive in, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any of these insights. And give this video a like if you're ready to uncover the hidden language of attraction. Let's break down these 5 subtle body language clues so you can see exactly how a man's admiration for an older woman reveals itself, sometimes in ways even he doesn't notice. Clue number 1. The protective positioning of true care. When a man truly cares for an older woman, his body often reveals it before his words do. Notice how he instinctively positions himself, whether subtly leaning closer, angling his body toward her, or placing himself in between her and potential discomfort. It's a silent, almost primal gesture of protection and attentiveness. This isn't about controlling or dominating. It's about creating a sense of safety and support. His posture, the way he mirrors her movements, or even the small, almost unconscious ways he makes space for her comfort, all signal that he values her well-being deeply. True care in a man shows up physically long before it reaches the level of conversation. And when you learn to read these protective cues, you begin to see the depth of his admiration and respect, even if he never explicitly says it. This is what I call the protective positioning of true care. The Roman concept of custodia, guardianship, takes on profound meaning in mature relationships. It's not possessiveness or control. It's the unconscious desire to create safe space around someone precious to you. The wisdom here is profound. When a mature man truly adores an older woman, his body becomes a shield, not to control her movements, but to honor her comfort. Watch for how he positions himself at gatherings. Does he create space for her to shine while remaining close enough to support her? Does he angle his body to include her in conversations while subtly managing the energy around her? These aren't old-fashioned gestures. They're timeless expressions of a heart that has learned what it means to treasure someone. Have you noticed this protective positioning in your own relationships? I'd love to hear your observations in the comments below. But protection through positioning is just the foundation. What happens when he focuses entirely on you reveals something even more telling.
Clue number 2. The sacred art of deep listening. When a man is genuinely drawn to an older woman, his attention becomes almost sacred. Watch how he listens, not just to her words, but to the pauses, the unspoken feelings, the subtle shifts in tone. His eyes, his posture, the slight nods or micro-expressions. They all show that he's fully present, absorbing her essence without judgment or distraction. This kind of listening goes beyond casual conversation. It's an unspoken vow. I see you. I understand you. You matter to me. He remembers small details, picks up on moods before she even mentions them, and responds in ways that show he's attuned not just to her mind, but to her heart. For older women, this is profound, because at this stage in life, being truly heard is rarer than ever. When a man masters this sacred art of deep listening, it signals more than interest or attraction. It reveals a deep emotional investment that words alone could never convey. This is what I call the sacred art of deep listening, and it's perhaps the most powerful body language clue of mature adoration. The ancient Greeks had a word, prosoke, meaning complete attention, the kind of focus that philosophers brought to understanding truth. When a mature man adores an older woman, he brings the same quality of attention to her words, her expressions, her very being. Research from MIT's Human Dynamics Laboratory shows that engaged listening creates distinct physiological responses. Synchronized breathing, mirrored micro-expressions, and what they term attentional entrainment. In men over 60, these responses are more pronounced when listening to someone they deeply care about. Observe not just if he listens, but how his entire body participates in listening. Does his posture soften when you speak? Does his hands become still? Does he create acoustic intimacy by leaning closer rather than asking you to speak louder? These subtle adjustments reveal a man who doesn't just hear your words, he receives them as gifts. This sacred attention naturally flows into something physical, something that connects to our next insight about how mature men use touch to communicate what words cannot. And just as listening becomes a silent declaration of care, the way he bridges that attention into touch and presence unveils another layer of his adoration, one that words alone could never express.
Clue number 3, the gentle touch that speaks volumes. This is what I call the gentle touch that speaks volumes. The philosopher Emmanuel Levinas wrote about the caress, not as possession, but as recognition of the other's infinite worth. Mature men who truly adore older women develop this sacred approach to touch. When a mature man truly adores an older woman, his touch is never careless or casual. It carries meaning without needing explanation. It's the brush of a hand across hers, the reassuring pat on the shoulder, the light touch on her arm that lingers just a moment longer than necessary. These small gestures are not just physical, they're expressions of care, admiration, and emotional connection that bypass words entirely. Unlike youthful, impulsive gestures, the touch of a man over 60 is measured, deliberate, and conscious. It conveys, I see you, I value you, and I want you to feel safe and cherished. Every subtle contact communicates respect, intimacy, and a silent promise of presence. Notice how he adjusts the intensity depending on the situation. Sometimes protective, sometimes tender, sometimes playful, but always intentional. He doesn't need to say, I care about you, because his hands, his arms, and the way he positions himself do it for him. I learned this lesson with Sarah during her illness. My touch became a language, checking her forehead for fever with the back of my hand, steadying her arm not because she couldn't walk, but because walking together felt better than walking alone. Mature men who adore older women touch with reverence. Watch for the quality of his touch. Is it hurried or gentle? Does he ask permission with his eyes before offering physical support? Does his touch seem to say, "You're capable," rather than "You're fragile"? How has the quality of touch evolved in your own relationships? I'd love to hear about moments when touch became a language of care. This reverent approach to physical connection creates a foundation for something even more powerful. The way he looks at you when he thinks you're not watching, which we'll explore right this.
Clue number 4. The eyes that hold forever. When a mature man is truly captivated by an older woman, his eyes do something words can't. They linger, they search, and they communicate emotions too deep for speech. It's not just about looking, it's about seeing. He observes the subtle lines of her expression, the sparkle when she laughs, the quiet moments of reflection. Every glance carries memory, admiration, and a silent acknowledgement of her presence in his life. These are the eyes that remember small details long after she's spoken them. The eyes that track her movements, not out of control or obsession, but out of profound care. In their gaze, there is patience, attentiveness, and an almost reverent recognition of her being. Unlike fleeting glances or casual looks, this gaze lingers in ways that reveal emotional depth. It communicates, "I notice you, I cherish you, you matter to me." For older women, this is powerful because it signals not just interest, but emotional investment built over years of experience and wisdom. The ancient Persians believed that the eyes were windows to the soul, but they also understood that love changes what those windows reveal. When a mature man adores an older woman, his gaze becomes a sanctuary. Dr. Zick Rubin's research at Harvard on loving versus liking found that couples who scored highest on love scales spent significantly more time in mutual gaze than those who merely liked each other. In mature relationships, this effect intensifies. The eyes become repositories of shared history, future dreams, and present gratitude. I experienced this profound shift in my own life. With Sarah, especially in our later years, our eyes would find each other across rooms and hold conversations that needed no words. When I first realized I was falling in love again, I caught myself looking at her with wonder, not just at her beauty, but at the miracle of finding deep connection twice in one lifetime. So watch for how he looks at you when he thinks you're not aware. Does his expression soften? Do his eyes seem to be memorizing you? When your eyes do meet, does he hold the gaze with warmth rather than looking away? These moments reveal a heart that sees you not just as attractive or interesting, but as essential. Just as the eyes speak what words cannot, there's one last subtle signal reveal the depth of his devotion, even before he says a single word. Clue number 5. The space that says you belong. A mature man adores an older woman. He doesn't just speak through words, touch, or gaze. He communicates through space itself. Watch how he positions himself around her,
how he naturally makes room for her presence, how his movements and gestures create comfort, ease, and belonging. This isn't about controlling the space or dominating it. It's about making her feel centered, acknowledged, and safe. He instinctively leans in when she speaks, subtly shifts his body to accommodate her needs, and leaves just the right amount of openness for her to exist fully without constraint. Even in silence, his physical presence signals, "You are welcome here. You are important. You matter to me." This kind of body language is so understated that many overlook it. But for older women, it carries a profound weight. It tells her that he isn't just near her physically, but emotionally, mentally, and spiritually present. His presence becomes a sanctuary, a safe harbor built over decades of life experience, patience, and emotional maturity. Notice the unspoken ways he adjusts the environment, his posture, and his proximity, not to impress, control, or assert, but to make her feel truly at home in his world. This is the ultimate signal of admiration and devotion, the creation of a space where she belongs completely. And just as he shapes space to convey belonging, all these cues together reveal something remarkable about mature love, a language spoken silently, deeply, and unmistakably for those who know how to look. Environmental psychologist Sally Augustine's research shows that people unconsciously modify spaces to accommodate those they care about most deeply. In mature relationships, this manifests as inclusive spatial awareness, creating environments where the beloved feels not just welcome, but essential. Try to observe how he manages the spaces you share. Does he seem to anticipate your needs for lighting, seating, temperature? Does he create little rituals or arrangements that make spaces feel like they belong to both of you? Does his body language in shared spaces suggest ownership or invitation? These spatial adjustments aren't conscious strategies. They're the natural overflow of a heart that sees you as belonging, not just in his life, but in every space he occupies. So, we've explored 5 profound body language clues that mature men simply cannot hide when they're in the presence of an older woman they truly adore. We've discovered the protective positioning that creates sacred space, the sacred art of deep listening that transforms conversation into communion, the gentle touch that speaks volumes through reverent contact, the eyes that hold forever in gazes that feel like coming home, and the space that says, "You belong," through unconscious environmental care. These aren't the obvious signals of youth, they're the refined poetry of hearts that have learned what matters, bodies that have discovered how to speak in the language of genuine care, and souls that recognize the precious rarity of true connection. As the poet Rumi wrote, lovers don't finally meet somewhere, they're in each other all along. But I would add this, after 60, when lovers finally recognize each other, their bodies become instruments of recognition, playing melodies of care that can only be learned through decades of living, loving, and understanding what is truly precious. If you're a woman wondering whether that special man sees you as truly essential to his happiness, watch for these subtle signs. They're more reliable than grand gestures because they're involuntary, unconscious responses from a heart that has found its home. If you're a man recognizing these patterns in yourself, know that your body is speaking a beautiful language of mature love, one that honors rather than possesses, protects rather than controls, and creates space for flourishing rather than dependence. The beauty of body language after 60 is that it's honest in ways that younger expressions might not be. There's less performance, less strategy, more authenticity. When mature hearts recognize each other, the body simply cannot lie about the depth of feeling involved. If you found these insights enlightening, make sure to like this video, share it with someone who might benefit, and leave a comment about which body language clue surprised you the most. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss tips on love, connection, and relationships after 60. Your heart and the hearts you touch will thank you. This is Vernon. Thank you for joining me today, and see you next time.